Look at Sperber, man.
Okay, I'll call the order of the Regional Transportation Commission Board meeting of June 15th with a roll call, please.
Neil Jordan. Von Hartung. Paul McKenzie.
Here.
Bob Lucy.
Here.
Excuse me. Ron Smith.
Here.
Lee Gibson.
Here.
Dale Ferguson.
Here.
Rudy Malfabon. Here. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay, if you'll all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Jinkling, would you lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda. Did we want to move some things around here? I know we've got some people that need to leave. Mr. Gibson, did you?
Mr. Chairman, it's, of course, the pleasure of the commission, but I know there is some pressing for time. I think the commission may find that they would like to take item 7.1 first. This is receive a report on the proposed amendment to the 2040 RTP, and then right after that, take item 6.2, which is to approve the proposed FY 2019 program of projects and then authorize the chair to execute the interlocal cooperative agreement with all of the entities. Those two items do have some relation. And then, of course, it's that time of the year. My evaluation is on the agenda. Perhaps before commissioners leave, we could take item 8.1. So that could be deliberated upon with the full membership of the board. And then after that, we could move to item 4 and then item 5, but I do know looks like we have a number of folks in the audience. Perhaps we would want to take item 4.1 either before 6.2 and 7.1 or right after 7.1 and 6.2.
Okay, and this is after consent items.
So yeah, so let me maybe make that clear. How about we do the Metropolitan Planning item 7.1 first, 6.2 second, item 4.13, and then hopefully if everyone's here, we could do my evaluation as item in the fourth place.
What about 8.1?
That's 8.1 would be in the fourth place. I'll look to the chief counsel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we just get a motion to,
Motion to approve as amended, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second. We have a second. Denise, did you get those names? Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Put this right there. Okay, I'm going to open up the public comment period. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak, please fill out a card. And if you haven't filled out a card, we can get you speaking. And then when you're done, you can get up and do that. So we'll get you all started. So the first speaker is Jeff Church. Jeff, come on down. Welcome.
Are we on here? All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Church. I run a website, renotaxrevolt.com. I did have a late night enjoying the Reno Rodeo, and then a curse has been placed on whoever with NDOT decided to close the Spaghetti Bowl on rodeo night. Moving along, I am a candidate for the Washoe County School Board, and so I'm a little biased in my presentation today. You do have a handout. Again, it was a late night. I only made one and gave it to the secretary. I'd like to talk a little bit about the RTC 5 gas tax. Anybody that's been to Fernley or to Carson City knows that you save 30 to 40 cents a gallon down there, and one of the big culprits is the RTC gas tax. And I'm not saying it's a bad tax, but it's something that needs attention. Now, I want to read to you the legislative bill in my limited time this is the quote, "This bill authorizes the Board of County Commissioners of a county whose population is 100,000 or more," and I'm going to segue onward, "to impose additional county taxes on motor vehicle fuel and various special fuels used in motor vehicles." My understanding that those folks at the school board with the buses, all of you that represent agencies that have police cars and fire trucks, we all pay that tax. So in essence, the taxpayers are being taxed twice. We pay the tax on the fuel, then we pay the tax to you to pay the tax back to RTC 5. As I interpret that, and I ask you to talk to your attorney, I think that the county commission, since they're the ones that impose the tax, could modify the tax and exempt local government from that tax. So that's what I'd like you to look into. The other thing is the increase is much higher than was ever predicted when you read the legislative history that I have. So maybe it's just time to say, next year, next July, we're not going to increase it another 2 or 3 cents. We'll hold pat and let things catch up. Because when that was written, there was massive unemployment. And if you read the history, that's what it was all about. And that's not the case today. So something to look into. I am a product of, I don't see a timer, there it is, okay, thank you. I am a product of San Diego, although I still have my Nevada blue plate, so that was a long time ago in San Diego, but they had foresight, and they have an excellent trolley system. And I never thought I'd say it, but I'm gonna say it, I think it's time we look at that. You know, all the way from Carson to UNR to Spanish Springs to Fernley, we need to look at light rail. And San Diego was very, very advanced back in the old days, back in the, I think the early 70s in planning that trolley system, and it's great. I even suggest maybe at our taxpayer expense with RTC5, take a trip down there and look at it because it's a wonderful system. And so I really think we need to think about that. So once again, my name is Jeff Church. I'm a candidate for Washoe County School Board. I run a website, renotaxrevolt.com, and I ask you to look into the legal aspect of RTC5 if we can exempt local government and or possibly modify it to put a hold on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Church. Next speaker is Philip Cooney. Philip, come on down. Do you need assistance, sir?
Problem. Oh, thank you. Oh, let me get you up.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks, oh, that's right. It's just easier for me to figure things out. All righty.
A little bit, and you're right here in front of the mic.
Okay, thanks. I'm speaking today to ask you to rescind your vote to accept the new ticketing system for the fixed route bus system. This system really is a poor system for the riders. Let me give you a couple of stories. My wife goes from Sparks to Northwest Reno, takes her 2 buses. She gets there, has a meeting with her church group, and then one of the church ladies brings her home. So under the current system, she spends 80 cents to get a 10 ride and uses one of those rides and a transfer to get to the church. Under the new system, it'll be $1.50, which is an 87% increase in her fare. For me, I prefer the flexible 24 hours that starts when you first get onto the bus. As an example, I started yesterday at about 4:30, went to meet some friends, went to dinner, came home, and then I used the 24-hour again today to come to this meeting. I will use it to go home, and then I'll use it to go to a friend's birthday party a little bit later this afternoon. The flexible pass cost me $1.75. Under your new system with the calendar day pass, that costs me $3, an additional $1.25, or a 70% increase in fares. I really don't understand why people such as myself who use and rely on the bus system have no control over these types of things, whereas the people that have the control for doing the changes in such things seldom use or rely on the bus system that they purport to represent. I think if you're, as I said last month, let us have the flexibility. If you have to raise the fares, that's fine, but at least be honest about raising the fares and tell us, hey, we have to raise fares, and leave us with the flexibility and a little bit of dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Jordan.
Thank you very much. I don't often engage with public comment, but there was a representation earlier that local governments pay the fuel tax, and they do not.
And I was going to say that after the public comment also, just so the information is incorrect. Robert, is it Mulvens? Correct. And you wanted me to read your statement, sir? Okay. It says an Older Americans Month event, at an Older Americans Month event, and I can't read that next word, ABCs? ABCs of RIDE, RTC. I was told that the issue of the pellet shooter had been resolved. If that's the case, why are the wanted reward posters still publicity poster? Publicity poster. Publicly posted. Yeah, publicly posted. I'll have somebody address that for you, sir. Lane, could you have somebody get a hold of him on that? Or David?
David.
You don't have to do it right now,
Mr.
David.
Chairman,
Just get with him after.
Yeah, just if Mr. Jickling or Mr. Maloney would get with the gentleman.
Okay, I have several more cards. Donna Clance, do you want to talk now, or did you want to talk on 3.7? Okay. Dora Ushell, 4.1. I guess I want to talk now. Michael, could you make sure they... Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to speak of the 4.1 with, I think, the, sorry, I don't have my notes. The ADA, eliminating the outside of the ADA zone, and where you stop the RTC access service when your route stops. I think, oh geez, sorry. I think, I mean, I was writing a little note last night, and I didn't bring it because I think it's best if I tell you, let you guys all know about stories when that takes place, when the ADA zone completely stops the service, and when the access stops, when the RTC fixed route stops. There are some of us, people with disability that goes to school and work, and we rely on this privilege, the services. Some of us, some of the disabled people are elders. They haven't been taught cane skills, and because the disability came late in life, and so they weren't taught cane skills. They don't know how to get out of the door to go to the store, or to go to work, or go to church on their own. They need the door-to-door service. And I looked at the services and resources for the Reno, and in order to receive cane training for voc rehab, you need to either have an employment or go to school. And that's not possible for people who are, in their 50s and 40s, because they have a dual disability. So please consider those services that we take so dearly and really do appreciate what we got right now. And it's limited as may be, we still really are grateful to have those. As far as the taxi bucks, where the proposal is to make it $15 for $60 voucher. Some of the folks are on fixed income, and that's really gonna sometimes will not be able to buy food because taxis are really expensive. And so it won't be, feasible. is that my time? Okay, I'm sorry. So please consider, what we said today, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, excuse me, thanks, Dora, appreciate it.
Okay, come on. Hop up.
Sherry Erlinson, did you want to speak now? Okay, come on up, sir. Sherry.
Okay, thank you. The 25 is a really big issue for RTC access because the 25 stops at 7:08 at night. So the RTC access will stop at 7:08 at night. I go to physical therapy twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. My time is at 6:30. So I have to be home at 7:08 or I won't get a ride home. And for people that are out probably later than that, they need RTC access because a lot of them are on dialysis and they need to, have RTC access. And also people that are disabled, we also go to the emergency rooms, and being out after hours is putting a limitation on us. You're putting a curfew on us disabled people, and it's not fair how that is. The only one who's going to benefit from RTC access is the number 1 line because they run 24/7. And if, like, say, the number 2, it stops at 2 in the morning, so does RTC access. And what if somebody's at the hospital that rides the number 2? Well, they're not going to get a ride until 6 a.m. or later for whenever the bus comes. And I'm wondering, so if the Saturday schedule of the 25 runs from 9:48 a.m. and it starts picking up at 3 p.m., will RTC access stop in those hours too? So I don't think that's correct because, like I said, the 25 runs on a very weird schedule. And on the weekends, for the number 19, nobody will get RTC access there because they don't have bus rides that run. They only run Monday through Friday on the 19th. So nobody's going to get RTC access then either if you close it down. If you close everything else down, also is like I said, it's putting our curfew on the disabled, and that's not right. That's against our civil rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry, and hopefully when we go over 4.1, it'll explain a lot of what we're doing. Okay, and Donna, you wanted to speak at 3.7 and at 4.1, would you go? Yes? Okay, is there anybody else in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission, move on to 2.2, accept the monthly summary report to the Technical Citizens Multimodal and Regional Road Impact Fee Advisory Committee. We have a motion to accept the report.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. And we'll move on to consent items. Mr. Gibson, did you want to say something?
Mr. Chair, based on the public comment request, we need to take item 3.7
And 4.1.
and 4.1's not on consent, but 3.7 needs to come off consent.
Okay.
Move to approve the remaining items?
3.17. Okay, so we're going to pull 3.17 and 3.7, right?
And Mr. Chair, if I may, can we pull, I just have a quick question on 3.4.
3.4. Okay. So we have a motion to accept the consent items, except for 3.4, 3.7, and 3.17. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Who made the motion? I'm sorry. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to 3.4. And I'm sorry, I can't remember who wanted that one pulled. Okay, Mr. Lucy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Goodness gracious.
There we go. All right. Okay, quick question. On the engineering report, this is basically, Mr. Stewart, we're talking about, obviously, all the engineering that's currently going on, that's in our capital improvements program for the area. One question I have is that we talk about the process for signal retiming and some of the replacements of the old cabinets and striping. I have had some requests for Longley, down at the corner of Longley and Patriot, right there by the In-N-Out Burger and the old Pink Scalaries. Is that intersection does that fall underneath RTC's responsibility, or is that fall under NDOT because that's old? I don't, it's a quick question I have. Do you know?
Brian Stewart, Director of Engineering. I don't know right offhand. I haven't looked into that, Commissioner. And it's not currently on my list.
Okay.
To look at,
Well,
but I can look into that for
Let
sure.
me I just want to share something with you. I was during Senior Month, during older citizens Senior Month,
Older Americans.
Older Americans Month. Thank you, Ms. Jordan. I had some meetings at the senior center across the street, and some of the individuals that live in that area, a lot of that is workforce housing, low income housing, fixed income homes. A lot of those individuals utilize RTC quite frequently, and a lot of that some of them are disabled and have challenges crossing that intersection right there across Virginia Street and then across Patriot. Very busy intersection. Obviously, this is something that I've continuously talked about to Director Malfabaum in regards to the offloading of I-580 North right there onto Virginia. So you get a lot of traffic for individuals walking and using those intersections. We don't have audible intersections there, and we don't have, and that striping is it's kind of faded. So if we could add that, if that isn't within our purview, I want to look into seeing what we can do to fix that striping there and increase some of that those intersections for audible for some of the disabled people, because we do have a ride station right there that a lot of people utilize to get to our Meadowood Mall interchange so that they can get into town. But I'd like to look at that area for engineering in regards to improvements for just sidewalk improvements and intersection improvements, if we can look at that.
Absolutely, we
Okay.
can look at that.
Other than that, I move to approve the engineering report.
Okay, we have a motion and a second from Mr. McKenzie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll move on to 3.7, and there is some public comment, but who pulled that one? I'm sorry.
You did, because of the public comment.
Public comment?
Mr. Jickling will give an overview quickly of this item, and then we'll take the public comment.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. I'm David Jickling, Director of Public Transportation and Operations for the RTC. This item is a biennial award of the 5310 program, which is funding that the RTC receives annually, but we, because of the small amount of money, about $350,000 a year, we, working with the local social service agencies, combine that into a 2-year program of funding to provide more stability to the recipients who are awarded those grants. We had about a little under $700,000 or so available for award. We issued a request for proposals in January, February, reviewed those proposals. We had 7 that came in, and a committee consisting of 3 individuals, 2 outside the agency and 1 within the agency, recommended approval of 5 awards. So the funds that are shown here are for a variety of different organizations: Senior Outreach Services, Washoe County Human Services, a new program they have, the Sierra Nevada Transit Coalition, Transportation Coalition, that formerly known as City Care, who's been a longtime partner of the RTC, Senior Companion, and then Access to Healthcare Network, all receive funds for both operating and some capital. I can go into more details or answer any specific questions that you may have on the program.
Any questions or comments for David? Okay, David, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll open up the public comment period. Donna Clance, come on down. Welcome.
Good morning,
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I am Donna Klontz. I am Chair of the Reno Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, and I also am a member of the Sierra Nevada Transportation Coalition Board as well. I'm just speaking in support of the grants that will be awarded today for all of these services that are for our seniors, for the volunteer programs to get their mileage, and for Sierra Nevada Transportation Coalition to continue to work on their Lyft Uber idea that will help with transporting all kinds of folks who currently have after-hours issues or can't ride the regular ride buses. We all know that our transportation system needs a lot of assistance, and I know all of you are working really hard on that, and these grants will go a long way to continue that. So thank you for making those choices.
Thank you, Donna. Would anybody else like to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for, looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second, and.
With
comment,
discussion?
Please. Donna brought up a good point. Maybe this is for future RTC items as well. If we could get an update on not only the Lyft bucks, I guess for lack of a better term, and then also the Uber Medical, Uber Health, what, am I getting the wrong word?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's where Uber has partnered with different medical facilities, and they'll actually pay for the transportation. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that.
We can do that.
If we could-
David, you can bring that back next time.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. 3.17, I believe that was you, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some real quick questions for the director. I'm sure we haven't got a start date yet because we haven't negotiated a price on this change in work, but do we have an idea when we want to start working down there? And then the second question is, as we're negotiating this, we don't want to see the same mess we saw on 4th and Prater where we had businesses not feeling like they were kept in the loop about what was going on. So and make sure that when we're negotiating this, that we don't short the funding on the notification to their notification system, so we can keep businesses aware of what's going on. And those are just two quick questions.
Brian Stewart, Director of Engineering. Thank you, Commissioner. Absolutely, we're going to learn from 4th Prater and what we're doing, and we're going to make sure that's negotiated in the contract. Answer your first question about when we want to go. We want to go really quick. End of August, September timeframe, fall for this early action project, which would be to relocate the utilities and get that work done and completed and out of the way.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second. We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? You want to say something?
No?
Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to 4.1, and this is a public hearing, so after we get the presentation, I'll open up the public comment period.
Wait, we were gonna do 7.1 first.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, we're gonna move to 7.1, which is receive a report on the proposed amendment to the 2040 Regional Transportation Plan, or the RTP. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you very much.
So then we're gonna
Amy
do
Cummings, RTC Planning Director.
7.1,
This is an item to
6.2.
update you on an upcoming
Correct.
amendment to the Regional Transportation
Oh, here
Plan.
you go.
And the first element of this is incorporating the Spaghetti Bowl Phase 1, which we have a map of. Right? There it is. Now, the Spaghetti Bowl as a project is currently in the RTP, but it's not packaged with this phasing. So we want to make sure the project limits are up to date so that we're not slowing NDOT down when they're ready to go with this project. So this is, again, the east to south movements between largely Wells Avenue and past Mill.
I'm sorry.
May I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. When does
So
this
we've got-
construction commence?
I know NDOT is currently working on the design and the NEPA, and I believe the anticipated
trying to figure out if we
construction
changed it
start
all
is
to
in
one.
2019.
Okay,
for
6.2
this.
is 2.
I'll defer to Rudy for the latest information.
Yes, it's subject to legislative approval of our budget request for the next biennium, but it's a design-build project, so you would see the design efforts start as soon as possible. Selection of the design-build team would be about the middle of next year as the legislature winds down and approves our budget. And that starts kind of the design process. So you'd probably see more construction in 2020, but the contract would actually start in 2019 with the design builder.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. One of the other items, again, we don't want to slow NDOT down, is coming out of their Northern Nevada freeway traffic study were improvements on 395. And that's their first phase there is going to include a southbound lane between Lemon and McCarran and auxiliary lanes between Lemon and Carran in both north and southbound directions. So we want to make sure, again, we have this project in the RTP, but the limits are different and the phasing is different. So we want to make sure that what we have lines up with what's coming out of the NDOT study that they want to move forward with. 2 other projects we want to include in this amendment. The next is the request of City of Reno, and that's to include a widening from 2 to 4 lanes on North Virginia Street between Panther and Stead. That's an area of increasing industrial development, heavier truck traffic, so we want to be proactive there. It would be in the 10-year CIP. We also want to update the Lemon Drive widening that's, again, currently in the RTP, but Reno and Washoe County have approached us to ask us to extend that widening from Arkansas up to Chickadee, as well as incorporate some flood mitigation measures when that construction is taking place.
You know, Amy, and I want to congratulate whoever did that flood mitigation out there, because it's, it's a road that was needed, and if they didn't do the mitigation, we couldn't do the road, so I'm truly in favor of that.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up quickly on some of the just issues going on with our regional network. As we take stock of where we are, this is our regional heat map of traffic crash locations. So you can see this confirms why the Spaghetti Bowl is our #1 priority. You can see that is the hot spot in the middle of our region. Some of the other projects with safety issues that we're addressing in the POP this year are the Pyramid Highway, Sun Valley, and Audi Boulevard corridors. And you keep hearing people say that traffic is getting worse, and they are right. This is a bar chart of vehicle miles of travel from 2005 to 2016. The 17 numbers haven't come out yet, but we're expecting those to have another 45% increase over 2016. So we'll be close to that 4 billion annual miles of travel. And when you look at where that traffic is distributed on our network, this is our regional road network. You can see our regional roads with the highest traffic volumes. We've got Pyramid Highway with about 47,000 cars a day, and then a few other sections of McCarran with over 40,000 cars a day now. And when you look at what's changed between 2016 and 2017 in terms of volumes, again, you're looking at Pyramid Highway and sections of North McCarran is the areas where we've had the most traffic growth, but clearly it's distributed all throughout the region as well. And we have different maps for the freeway because instead of looking at 40,000 cars a day, we're looking at 100,000 to 200,000 cars a day. So here you can see the traffic on I-580 between the Spaghetti Bowl and Moana. That's our hotspot for freeway traffic currently. But when you look at where the growth is, it's on I-80 between Keystone and Rock. So again, this reaffirms the need for the improvements to the Spaghetti Bowl to handle this growth.
Okay. We have a question, Amy.
Yes.
Ms. Jordan.
Amy, could you go, thank you, Chairman Smith. Could you go back 2 slides to the, yes, the highest flow increase of traffic. The North McCarran, we had set aside some money for kind of a new technology for pedestrian safety at the light at North McCarran and Socrates? Socrates. Is it Socrates? It's Socrates. When is that? And we've had some fatalities, very sad UNR student fatality.
Did you want to say
I'm
something?
very eager to see this. When is that scheduled to go in?
We are working with the LiDAR equipment to put in there, and I don't have that exact date, but I know we're talking with our research partners on getting that equipment purchased. And that's probably going to come to the board next month.
Oh, good, good. It just affirms that with this high volume of increased traffic here, too.
Yeah,
that
I'm
the sooner
probably
the
going to get
better.
off the agenda item, but we've got a pretty exciting project going on right now between the city, the university, RTC, related to traffic signals, our transit system, and the role of technology, and I think that's going to get folded into that comprehensive package. So.
Perfect.
And I also want to give a shout out to Bill Thomas, because he's been someone coordinating a lot of that, so.
Okay.
Another, following up on a question we received last meeting, was looking at the relationship of the Southeast Connector and the pyramid widening travel demand. So here we have a map of the origin and destinations. Each of these dots represents about 50 trips. So you can see the travel demand for Southeast Connector is more heavily weighted to the east side of Reno and Sparks. And then when you overlay, this is the pyramid widening from from Queen to Golden View. That's serving a different travel demand. So those work well together, but they're not duplicating improvements for the same travel demand needs. So we wanted to share that as well. In terms of our timeline, we're currently doing our air quality conformity analysis. We'll start our public comment period in July, and then we will bring this back for public hearing and potential action in August. But we wanted to incorporate any feedback that you may have for us today on the amendment.
Okay, questions, comment? Mr. Hartung.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Amy, I really appreciate Pyramid Highway. I've resided out there since it was 2 lanes, and I remember when we originally took it to 4, which was amazing. And it's now time again. I would implore us, I know Phase 1 is looking at Queen to Golden View, but I would implore us, let's try to take it at least to Sparks Boulevard, because a lot of people are trying to reach Sparks Boulevard. There's going to be a lot of development that will ultimately use Sparks Boulevard. There's a middle school that's currently being built, and there's a lot of development sort of in that end. So if we could just extend it just a little bit farther in this first go-around, I think it would be wise. And I know that there are some constraints, and it's tough, but sooner rather than later would be good. On your sheet that shows draft, it shows Sparks Boulevard to Vista. So the RTP project is to widen, are you looking at widening I-80 to 8 lanes through there? Is that?
That's a project that's currently in our unfunded needs list.
Okay.
So the proposed change is to remove that because it's addressed with some other improvements that came out of the NDOT traffic freeway study.
Okay.
So one thing we want to do is do this cleanup to make sure that the projects identified in the RTP line up with the improvements coming out of the NDOT studies over the last year.
All right. Yeah, and I mean, I know that that's a heavy area, but, I mean, that's it seems like a fairly massive project for, a relatively short distance. And it's not that it's not needed. We certainly need some more capacity going through there, but I was just curious about that. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the widen on North Virginia Street, we've got developers that are coming in there that are we're going to be looking at trying to do some of that widening for us, but we haven't got any design in there. I mean, we come almost 2 years ago, started talking about doing that, and we've missed 2 or 3 opportunities to get portions of it done. And one of the big reasons is there's no idea what we want to do in there. And so I'm glad to see it's finally on the list where they can do offsets on it, but we need to get an idea what we want to do there so that we can get it done. Because most of it can get done before we have to fund any of it.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Mr. Hartung.
One last thing, and I'll sort of just try to keep this on the horizon. I don't know how we're going to approach the high school that Washoe County School District wants to build on McCarran. And that, I mean, that's a very, very heavily traveled piece of McCarran. As you know, the people coming from Pyramid Highway, many of them are trying to make their way west over to 395. And so that's really going to change the dynamics of that stretch of road. And I don't know what the geometry of that intersection is going to have to look like. I don't know. I've seen nothing from the Washoe County School District, and there didn't seem to be an appetite on their part to do any improvements on McCarran. I want to keep that to the forefront, and then I will continue to bark about Eagle Canyon really needs to be widened from Neighborhood Way to West Calle de la Plata, where we already have a high school and a middle school, which was a huge mistake to put them on a two-lane road. I don't know how we allowed that, not RTC, Washoe County. I have no idea how that was ever approved, but here we are. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to thank NDOT for helping fund and do a lot of the studies that are going into a lot of the amendments that we're dealing here with today. So Rudy, thanks a lot.
Okay.
I'd also like to thank NDOT for providing the data, the crash data, and the traffic counts that RTC uses. So.
Thanks for the update, Amy. Thank you. Move on to 6.2.
We need a motion.
No, it's no action required on this.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for keeping the
I did something right for changing.
keeping the executive director
No.
and the chief counsel
Yeah.
in line.
6.2, Brian.
6.2.
Good morning, Brian Stewart, Director of Engineering. Before you today, we would like to look at approval of the proposed FY19 program of projects and authorize the RTC chair to execute the interlocal cooperative agreements between Washoe County, City of Reno, and the City of Sparks, and the RTC to implement the POP. So quickly, I just have a quick PowerPoint basically to remind us from some of the stuff that we talked about at the retreat. The ICA enumerates the responsibilities for delivering the projects, and then the POP identifies the proposed uses of the net fuel tax revenues for RTC's upcoming projects. This graphic just shows how we basically pick projects and how they factor down into the program of projects, starting with the regional transportation plan, which Amy just talked about in the previous presentation and the amendment that is proposed there, into the capital improvement plan, and then the regional transportation improvement program. And then we get into a 2-year POP that identifies how we can deliver those projects over the fiscal years. So the POP this year for fiscal year 19 focuses a lot on the mobility and quality of life projects, as you can see. Before you, we have a lot of bicycle and safety improvements on these projects that are before you. And we have excited to see the 4th Street and Prater Way come into completion here in the fall, which would be exciting also.
Certainly.
Brian, yesterday I had the pleasure of driving I-80. I was trying to get off at 4th Street, and of course I could not, which is okay, I understand. But we did not change. We've recommended that Rock Boulevard be the workaround, and traffic was backed up all the way onto the freeway, and I mean, it was deep because there's only one left turn queue that turns north onto Rock Boulevard. And there's two turn lanes. There's a 1 and 2, but the number 2 goes either straight through and gets back on the freeway, which is virtually never used. The number of movements that direction are minimal at best. And then there's a right-hand turn movement. And I'd suggest, just for a short period of time, that we make both of those lanes the ability to turn, to either go straight in from the number 2 lane or right or left, and let people turn, because there's 2 lanes onto Rock Boulevard, and I think that'll alleviate some of that backup. I mean, it was a real nightmare yesterday.
What time was that, Commissioner?
About, let's see,
3:30?
it was about a little beyond that, maybe about 4:15.
There was an accident on Audi Boulevard on 395. It backed up everything. I think that was part of the problem.
On Audi.
Off of 395,
No, this was off of I-80.
but the traffic was dead stopped on 395 north, which nobody can get onto the
No,
off-ramps.
but,
Every time, everybody's trying to get around.
no,
it.
but I was heading I-80 east.
I'm just saying it could have been part of the problem there.
Yeah, but you couldn't get off on 4th, and so it
Yeah, that's been closed now for a while.
it's, I understand.
Yeah, Warren Call will give the presentation on the fourth Prater, but we're going to open that up here pretty quick, I think Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, that ramp that is closed, so that should alleviate a lot of the pain. So we were able to get a lot of work done.
Any other questions right now?
Thank
Okay,
you,
Brian.
Mr. Chairman.
So our capacity projects are included in the FY19 POP. We have the pyramid widening, a little bit that was talked about in Amy's presentation, and we have some ITS phases, and North Valley safety improvements continue with the 3rd phase of that moving forward. And then we're happy and excited that Southeast Connector is going to finish up in this fiscal year, and we'll be getting that open. July 6th is our proposed celebration for that. As you can see in the FY19, pavement preservation program is robust this year. We're looking at, as these bigger projects finish up, now we can put more money back into our annual program. We use the slurry seals for pavement in good conditions to preserve those, and then corrective treatments for the asphalt pavement. So there's a significant amount of work here, of which it's imperative that we get the POP approved so we can move this forward and get into the construction season as soon as possible this summer. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any more questions.
Questions or comments? Mr. McKenzie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I've continued to have concern with the $5 million that you've got in the POP for the Pyramid 395 length. During our budget, it was presented that was going to be federal funds, and in the POP, it's listed as fuel tax. And so that increases my opposition to spending $5 million on a road that is going to create more congestion. And the Queensway expansion, we talk about seeing how the Southeast Connector plays out for Southeast Reno, but we're going to pour more money into the Pyramid before we find out how the Southeast Connector plays out. And I think it's a misspending of the fuel tax dollars. There's areas in this community that need immediate relief that the Southeast Connector is not going to change the impact. We haven't got any projects in line that are going to change the impacts. That money would be much better spent. So I can't support a POP that we're misspending $5 million of fuel tax dollars on a project that in 5 years we may find out isn't needed.
Okay. Did you want to reply to that? Okay.
No.
Any further questions or comments?
Do you want me to reply or just?
Sure, Mr. Gibson.
Mr. Chairman, if I'll offer a comment. Could we go back? Well, never mind. Couple comments. First off, the project that's coming out on Pyramid Highway, that is a project that's a product of, I believe, an expenditure of almost $9 million of earmarked federal funds that this commission received through the Nevada Department of Transportation. Remember, the Nevada Department of Transportation owns Pyramid Highway. We did have a little bit of a confusion in the budget with respect to the fund source. Originally, we represented that was surface transportation block grant funds, but it's going to be fuel tax funds. What I would just mention is that as part of the indexing program, we index the state gas tax. We tried to take a sort of not a blind view, but we tried to look at the priorities and also remember that we, as an entity that collects an indexed increment off of the state fuel tax, we try to also look at needs on the state system as well. I think, and I'll just be real blunt, we can argue about the fund sources, but I think the overall program of projects, which is really a slice of one moment in time of the Regional Transportation Improvement Program that represents the 5-year commitment of projects, I think what we have in the POP and in the TIP is a representation of what we believe is addressing the regional needs of our regional road transportation system, which is what this commission statutorily is required, both through federal law and state law, to apply its federal and local funds to. As this commission knows, we have a wide variety of projects from the North Valleys to the south, from the interstate system to the other regional roads that we were applying our funds to. And I think I would encourage the commission to look at the integrity of the program as a whole and not one slice at one moment on one particular fund source as it relates to the projects that we're proposing to move forward. The metric that I think is important is a metric related to just delivering the total plan. And I think what you've seen today, both in Amy's item related to the RTP and the program of projects, is exactly that. So I'd just like the commission to consider that set of ideas as it deliberates on this item.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, looking for a motion to approve the 2019 program of projects. So moved. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Passes 4-1 with Mr. McKenzie, the lone guy not voting for it. Okay, we'll move to 4.1. And this is a public hearing item. After the presentation, I'll open up the public hearing. Come on down.
Mr. Chairman, Mark Maloney, our Transit Operations Manager, will handle this item. And I believe Susie Trinidad will also be available for perhaps helping with any questions, answers, and/or any citizen requests. So,
exactly. Thank you, Lee. Mark Maloney, Transit Operations Manager. All right, what we have today is a request and recommendations for improving our mobility for our, not only our ADA certified riders, but also our seniors and our veteran riders. As was stated by one of our commenters already today, the ADA service is a civil right. It was created because there was not accessible fixed route buses back in the 70s and 80s. So this view was once the accessible buses came along, we would have, a lack of need for the ADA paratransit, and it would slowly diminish. Well, that missed the mark. If you look at our accessible fleet now, we have low floor buses that kneel down to the curb level, that have a flip out ramp, that has accessible pass throughout, dual loading for securement devices. There's visual and audible announcements for bus stops and a vast amount of information on web, smartphone to get anything that you need in the way of tickets and information when your next bus is and along those lines. So we have very accessible buses, but obviously the demand for service and just mobility in general for our community is much greater than was ever envisioned in that. So what we wanted to do was really focus on is how can we improve the mobility and properly put service that our customers are using on the non-ADA, which is a bit clumsy, and also our seniors and veterans, and how to improve that service for everybody. So our main focus is expansion of the Washoe Senior Ride Program. And what we did was recommend that not just taxi, but we go taxi and TNC. We've working with Uber, which seems to be on board with this program, and they've got some good demonstrations out there at other transit properties, which is a very cost-effective way. And to help the cost-effective way, we also have removed the income criteria. We gave 25% more discount in this proposal, and we've moved from 2 to 3 books per month. So someone who spends $5 for a book of $20, for $20 can easily do a round trip anywhere on our average trip on Access. So it's a a slight savings to what you would do right now in Access. So we feel this not only helps our non-ADA, but also helps our ADA service people to give them an extra choice and better option to ride the different services. Let me pop over to the next slide. And by doing this, we think we can take the dollars we're spending right now on the hours service, bring that down into our matching the ride service, which is the ADA law requires, and then taking that additional service and plowing it into the TNC taxi bucks improvement to giving the flexibility. And I think the number one reason that I think is a good idea in this area was what we heard from a customer earlier today. The request, say it's 3 in the morning and you need to go to a doctor or whatever, a dialysis appointment, it actually is not available now to the rider because it takes 1 to 3 days in advance to call for a reservation. This way, you could actually just call or take your app, get a taxi or a TNC to your door within 15 minutes and get to your service. And hopefully it makes a healthier life. But not only is it just for our ADA eligible, this would also be our seniors and our veterans would also gain on this. Currently, about 230 riders a month utilize the beyond the time frame, and we propose that we would talk to each one. About 50 or 100 of them can probably just adjust their schedule slightly and meet the need, but the rest we would actually go through and explain the new program, how they could benefit from that, and also what was approved was the 5310. I have a slide at the end. There's a number of very innovative approaches that were just approved today and dollars sent to that, which will also help our riding public. The other area is our ADA non-service area. Right now, about 18 customers a year use this very small pot of 200 trips. They run out very early in the month, and they kind of book them up on that end of it. And the area that's served is not Washoe County-wide. It's an old agreed-upon area of the time. So say you live in Somerset, you actually can't use this service. So the TNC Taxi Bucks program will be countywide, 24/7, no reservation ahead of time. So we feel it's a much improved service over what we're providing now. And with our ADA service going up about 10% over last year, the ridership there is more important to focus the quality of service to do what we have to do on the ADA side and use these extra dollars, which is very expensive, and plow it into a service that's cheaper, that will provide a much vaster service for many more of our needy and
Excuse me, Mark.
mobility service.
Mark, let me just make sure everybody's clear on this. So the Taxi Bucks program is number one, countywide.
Yes.
Number two, we are, in effect, lowering the price. You can get more Taxi Bucks,
Significantly, yes.
significantly more than what you used to be able to get dollar for dollar.
Yes.
And three, the Taxi Bucks are eligible to be used by TNCs and taxi companies.
Correct.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that's clear to everybody, because one of the challenges this commission has faced over the years has been the question or issue surrounding the geography of paratransit. Remembering paratransit trips are $25 per ride, per individual. And so this is one way we think we're going to be able to actually increase service, increase the subsidy, but by bringing in the TNCs, we're going to be able to lower substantially what our net cost is with regard to subsidizing that provided trip. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that here today, that in effect, we're taking away our over kind of high cost with respect to operating a paratransit vehicle, but still providing a higher degree of subsidy than what was previously available to consumers of this service. And they're also getting the benefit of having a 24-hour availability that heretofore they did not have. So I just want to, yeah, and it's countywide. We've had a big debate over the years at this commission about that service area. I think this is the solution we've come up with to be able to get to that countywide geography, but at the same time help kind of mute those costs of the paratransit trip that we struggle with each year in our budget.
Ms. Jordan.
Thank you very much. One of the public commenters also spoke about the cost of the taxi buck. My understanding was that it went down.
Yes, we can kind of pop back real quick. Yeah, because it used to be a 50% discount, so for $10 you get a $20 book. We are proposing it to go to 75%, so for $5 you get a $20 book. And if you've ridden TNCs recently, you can understand the difference in the fare box that charges for a taxi versus a TNC. So for $20 or a $5 contribution from you, you can get pretty far and have multiple rides that you can't do currently with the Taxi Bucks program.
Okay.
And really it's very common that people expanded the non-ADA area because there wasn't options. What we want to do is take advantage of these new options that are out there today and help our mobility. And with that, what you approved just recently was our 5310 slate of projects. And I think there's some very innovative services that are going to be starting off with the fiscal federal year of 2018, which is September, actually October. And you'll see that they have innovations such as volunteer driver programs. They have a Uber Lyft disabled type program. There's actually free non-medical emergency related transportation for seniors and individuals with disabilities. So if you couple all of this with what we're proposing with the TNC Taxi Bucks program, we'll definitely cover the 250 that will, are currently using these services that we're removing, but we're going to help thousands more, not just our ADA certified, but our seniors who are out there, our veterans who are out there, our disabled who are out there that aren't ADA certified. And that ends my presentation. I'll gladly answer any questions.
Ms. Jordan?
Thank you very much. So now that, assuming this gets passed and maybe looped in with it, is that Uber Medical service and some of the details on how that's expanding in our community a little bit too. Will you be going back to both the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee and the Access Advisory Committee with this information? Because I want to make sure that those two groups are from RTC getting accurate information to those entities and not something else that may be floating out there. I just want to make sure that those two groups in particular are getting accurate information.
A very good point, Commissioner. We'll definitely take it back there. And also, since it is ADA certified, we actually know exactly which riders we're affecting. So we're going to do one-on-ones with all those riders and give them, what is the changes and what are their options and where they can go for better service.
And as an aside, we as a body often get just regular bus passes. We now have access bus passes as commissioners, and if there are groups or individuals that may need assistance with regards to those, there is now an avenue to get some of those bus passes from us as well. So I just want to make sure that all this information is getting accurately relayed. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, so currently we have income criteria.
Yes.
We're eliminating
We're
that.
eliminating income criteria.
But they still have to pre-register, they just can't call up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
and
that's clear.
through the summer, we're going to work out, because right now there's like one location. We're going to look at ways that people can be able to receive the actual books much easier, or even be able to email codes for the TNCs.
Okay, good stuff. Any other question, comment? Mr. Hartung?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, I've got just a fast, and it's probably not going to be an easy question, though. Do we know what percentage of seniors and veterans actually need ADA assistance or paratransit assistance?
Well, I think that's a very difficult, because we have folks that have actually gone through the eligibility process,
Yes.
and they've been reviewed, and we know they are part of our database, and we know exactly what their needs are.
Okay.
So we can be specific on the ADA, or we can tell them, you actually can utilize a fixed route, or if you need travel training.
Right.
There is a large population out there that hasn't reached out to us to do that first step.
Okay.
So they're either, getting rides from friends, using some of our transit, using different modes. So I think it's actually a very good point in the sense of how do we go out and reach out and help those individuals more.
And try to give them,
Exactly.
the service that
Yep.
they require. If they do need
Yes.
assistance, we want to give it to them, but if they don't,
Mm-hmm.
my mother-in-law is 90 this year. She still rides a fixed route.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah. I mean, it's truly amazing.
Right.
And so,
More power
and
and health
she's
and-
a small subset. I get that,
Right.
but there are those customers. With respect to microtransit, Uber, Lyft, et cetera, do they consider anyone with an impairment as an ADA requirement, or let's just say someone who is visually impaired? They don't require the same assistance as someone with a wheelchair or something of that nature, where there needs to be a lift and so on. So is there a difference in that service?
There definitely is. In microtransit, as we, I think, talked a little bit before, and we talked a little bit about the workshop that we're modeling on that and working on it. Our view of microtransit will be operated so that it has the ability to care for any ADA eligible customer as well as any general population. So we'll have the vehicles be, lift able, smaller vehicles, plenty of securement, and highly trained operators to be able to handle those situations.
I'm just thinking about like Uber and Lyft for especially visually impaired, where the driver only needs to just assist them to get in the car, and that's it. There's no sort of bulky equipment that the automobile requires, which could really reduce our costs in terms of how we deal with that subset.
And we actually, we've been following and working with SNTC, who just received another 5310 to expand their Uber Lyft program. Currently, they're using Lyft and doing subsidies for the disabled population of the county, and they've actually had very good success with Lyft actually providing very good service in the way for visually impaired and such. So it's actually gone very, very well.
Okay.
And that was kind of what because we spent the money on the 5310 last time for them to kick off that program, and we were actually using that to model and find out how we do ours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So, Mark, just to be clear from myself, with the changes, somebody living in a non-ADA area is eligible for taxi bucks now?
Correct.
Perfect. That's great. Okay, any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll open up the public comment period. Donna Clontz, come on down. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Donna Klontz, for the record. I serve on the City of Reno Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, and we would welcome some presentations on the final outcome of these services that you're talking about today. I wanted to tell a story about a couple of my friends, and I'm going to call them Bob and Annie, who I know through playing with them in senior games and other things. They're very active seniors. Bob is visually impaired. Annie is his driver, and she is in her 80s, but she's still a pretty good driver and can drive at night, has her cataract surgery done and all of that. But they both live in the North Valley area. They're in the area that RTC vans and buses don't serve very well right now. And my main concern for the changes here, I appreciate and I support all of the good ideas to make everything more cost-effective for everybody. But the cutting out of the access services after the buses quit is the gap that I'm most concerned about. For those, in the papers today, it said it was about 737 people, or 737 rides, 220 some odd people. Hearing that there will be one-on-one counseling or one-on-one sit-downs with each one of those clients is going to go a long way, I think, towards solving whatever their problems are. Because I know from talking to folks that some of them are people that do love to go to the Aces game, and which doesn't get them home until 10:30 after the buses quit. Some of them have dialysis in the late, during those times. Some of them work still because of our 24-hour town. They work, and so they need to get back and forth to work, which is a lot more rides than 3 taxi bucks books can do for you, and even the Lyft Bucks program. So I am wanting to know that there might be some ability to flex some of the limits on these the Lyft program, which SNTC works on, but also the taxi bucks program. For those people who might need more than 3 a month to do the basic things that they're already doing when they get in that one-on-one conversation, to be able to get to work and to work with that person to figure out if it could be Lyft, or if it needs to be a taxi or some other thing. preserving the quality of life for all of the folks that are in the ADA category is paramount. And coming up with a way to make it all work with these good ideas is what I'm asking for some more flexibility in what's being proposed today. And the last thing is, there is a need for more paratransit-equipped vans with lift and tie-downs for the wheelchair, to make them wheelchair accessible. And I know that Access has them. I don't know if there's a way to lease one or those kinds of things. So coming up with some ways to get another vehicle for those people who have to have the wheelchair accessible things too. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, next up is Ryan McKinney. Come on down, Ryan. Welcome.
First of all, Ms. Najera, if you have any questions about the lift bucks, you can get a hold of Mr. Towder at SNTC, because that's who's working the program right now. So if Mr. has any questions, you can ask Mr. Towder. He works on the SNTC, and he can probably answer a lot of your questions about the lift bucks. I lived here since 1992, and I've seen a lot of changes, and this is a bad change. I know it's legal, but it's a bad change because it's going to affect me. I'm a protected member of society. I work, but my job starts at 5, 6 in the morning. And now if this change goes through, this is going to be my nightmare because I won't be able to work. I'll be out of a job. And this is the money that I live on for the month, because I get at least now $11 an hour, and if this change goes through, I won't be getting that $11 an hour. So I won't be able to pay for the Access books. I won't be able to do the stuff that I like to do. And this is a nightmare scenario that a lot of disabled people are worried about, is the fact that the bus system is tied to Access, and it be ending when, they want to be still productive members of society. And we don't want to be treated like, this is like us, treating us as like second-class citizens. Going back to the Jim Crow laws of the days when the African Americans had to be the Jim Crow laws of the voting tax and all this stuff. Now, in the 2000, now in this time, you're putting a burden on the disabled community by tying the Access to the time that the bus ends. And we in the disabled community feel that this, we did not fight for our laws to be independent, and now you're putting us back down to second-class citizens. And also, I wish that, Mr. I forgot his name, the congressman that voted no, that $5 million, maybe you could just use some of that money to get streaming out to, for the charter. You guys have a lot of the media on charter. Maybe you start putting this media on charter or streaming on the internet, or maybe use some of the money to fix your RTC website, because when I use my NVDA or JAWS on it, it's very hard for it to use. It's fine when I use my screen reader magnification, but it's near impossible when I use NVDA or JAWS on that kind of stuff on your website. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Charles Silver is next. Come on down, Charles. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you. I'm confused. I live in Lemon Valley, which is part of North Valley, okay, and I live off of Sky Vista. I am within the ADA area, but now I'm being told it's going to be outside the ADA area. So which means, like right now, you have transportation, but when the changes are made, you will no longer have it. I was told from people that now, unless I misunderstood, I was told they're going to do away with the non-ADA area, even though I live within the ADA area. So which means, starting with the effective changes, I'm out of transportation. I'd like to know, why is that happening?
Okay, we can address that afterwards. Mark, would you come on up? And I think you heard it just the opposite, sir.
Exactly. Your area is not changing. You'll still be within the ADA service, no service changes whatsoever, because you are tied to the route that goes up into the Lemon Valley there. So nothing will change. You kind of flip-flopped on that one. So you're in good shape.
Okay, but what about, I was told that they're taking our area and doing away with it. That's what I was told.
No, this does not
No,
take
that's
away
wrong.
any area at all.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, because I was told that from my house to where the closest bus stop is, that the micro service or this new transportation will be picking me up from the house and taking me to the nearest access stop, because access will not be picking you up at home.
I'd say that's, the conversation with microtransit isn't part of this. That's still a work in progress, and it's an idea and a concept that we're modeling and looking at is microtransit, which would be a different type of service that would service possibly certain areas that have service now or potentially that do not have service now. So this does not have anything to do with that end of it. So your service remains as it is with today's meeting.
Charles, if you could, after you're done speaking here, we'll give you Mark's number and you guys can talk about it. I don't know who's telling you this stuff, but you need to listen to some other people, seriously. Ms. Jordan has a comment.
No, I was just going to ask, there seems to be folks that, where, can I ask where you got the information that your service was being cut? Because there seems to be some confusion.
Well, I was told from at the last meeting that the non-ADA areas, that they were going to do away with that and then put in some kind of new transportation. I also told you that this new microservice that we were talked about to us at the last meeting, they said, well, what's going to happen is you'll be picked up from, if you're in a non-ADA area, you'll be picked up from the microservice and then taken to the closest stop where access will be, and that's where you transfer to catch access. But then they say, well, you're within the ADA, so that's not going to happen. But then again, they say, from my house, microservice will pick you up and take you over to them to the nearest access, because you're not in the service, not in the ADA area.
Charles, who are you speaking to is the question, I think. Who's telling you this information?
Well, the last meeting I went to, we talked to Susie and somebody else that were there. And they were talking about, for those people who are non-ADA, that the microservice will pick you up from the house, drop you off
Okay.
at the nearest access stop.
Okay. Charles, thanks for your comments, and we'll get Mark to get a hold of you so you two can discuss it on the phone or something. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I know, that is, and I'm sorry, you are? Sherry, come on up, Sherry. You can, and then you need to fill out one more card for me, Sherry. Michael, can you help her up there?
Okay, that still doesn't answer my question between,
Give your name for the record.
I'm Sherry Erlinson.
Okay.
And that did not answer my question between the two times for the 25. Will the RTC access stop between about 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock on Saturdays and not come on Sundays? And the other thing is, my son lives outside the ADA area. He's 5 years old, he's got autism, and when we have to go to the school or something, my ex he's in a scooter, and the RTC access does not go outside the ADA area. So he has to ride his scooter, which is a 3-hour ride there and a 3-hour ride back. So if we
Okay,
did-
Sherry, why don't we do the same thing? Because we don't normally during public comment go back and forth, and we kind of broke the rule here a little while ago. But Mark will get a hold of you as well, and he can answer any of your questions and make sure you're clear what's going on. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wanting to speak at this time? Come on down, ma'am. Dora, come on down. Welcome again, Dora.
Good morning, this is Dora Uel. I already said what I said about 4.1, but I'm just here to thank whoever, because last couple of months ago, I requested that there's a fire hydrant in the middle of Coit, up there in Mayan. And I want to give credit to Steve Bonnell and Charlotte Honey, because they moved it. So it was really windy one day, and my dog and I and my boyfriend, we walked there, and we were surprised, because we didn't have to go on the road and move back to the sidewalk. So I appreciate that, you guys.
Thank
And
you.
also, whoever had a cold last month, I think it was Gibson, I'm not sure. But thank you for, I don't know if you guys told all the bus drivers, because now they're letting some dogs on the bus and when they're on a leash, or they're holding onto them, so my little pretty dog doesn't get distracted.
That's good news.
So thank you so much, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for David Chickling and his staff to make the RTC Ride bus. Most of them have an automatic stop call, so we didn't get off on a wrong stop. And one more thing, on Pyramid Road going to the Center for Independent Living, sometimes we get off and we walk there. I think it's north. Oh, anyways, I don't remember. But there is a pole in the middle of the sidewalk, and I hit myself on it because I was walking so fast and I didn't pay attention to my dog, telling me to go left. And I hit it, and thank goodness I'm blind already because my sunglasses broke. But if somebody could look at that, because the sidewalk is really tight for me and my dog, and there's like an electric pole right in the middle. So
Okay.
thank you so much. you
What
guys,
street
for
is that
being
on?
patient. Sorry, Pyramid and H? Oh, I don't remember. Yeah. that's-
Okay.
Thank you.
Downtown, in Sparks, okay. Thank you, Dora.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wishing to speak this time? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment period, bring it back to the commission. Any further questions or comments? Okay, we are on 4.1, looking for a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously with those present. Okay, now, see if I got my bearings right. Now we're going to move to 8.1, which is the review of the Executive Director Lee Gibson's performance as it pertains to the proper duties of the position.
Good morning, Commission. Angela Reich, Director of Administrative Services, here to open up the item for Mr. Gibson's performance evaluation as it pertains to his proper duties of the position and to look back at his accomplishments for fiscal year 2018 goals. And in addition to that, the Commission may review and adjust compensation at your discretion. And from there, I'll turn it over to Lee.
Thank you, Angela. First, what I'd like to do is go through the basic duties and obligations that are fulfilled. I generally characterize these as those things that have to be done, otherwise we're under threat of closing the RTC's doors. With respect to all four of our, I'll go through all four of our departments and what statutorily we were required to do this year. With respect to metropolitan planning, we did approve an RTP as well as an RTIP amendment. We also continued with our Unified Planning Work Program, which continues our efforts to update our plan, keep our tools up to speed, as well as conduct corridor studies and complete the annual report. We've successfully fulfilled all of those basic statutory obligations, and we continue to do what we're supposed to do as the MPO. With regard to engineering and construction, today we approved our program of projects along with the interlocal cooperative agreements. We have adopted a CIP this year and kept the RIF program moving forward. Of course, today with the RTP discussion, we will be bringing some CIP and RIF amendments forward later and will be part of my goals for next year. We got through the first year of our new paratransit contractor, RideRight. That has been a successful transition. I will point out our costs have been increasing. Later on in my director's report, I'll be giving you an update of just some of the trends we're seeing in the transit industry. We fulfilled our federal grant obligations to replace buses. We've fulfilled our obligation under our VRIDE contract to continue providing van pools, and we've expanded those. And we continue to remain in compliance with respect to the Federal Transit Administration's regulations regarding ADA. So our services continue to do to meet those requirements. With regard to administration and finance, we're required by state law to conduct and approve a CAFR each year. We've done that. We've approved our budget, accepted our annual audits, and of course, last month, we did do the motor fuel tax index adoption as required by state law. So I'm pleased to say that the doors are still open to the business, and we continue to do what we are required to do. With respect to the goals that this commission adopted for me specifically, I will go through first I will go through agency goals, and then I'm going to go through community partnership goals. So internally, the commission directed that we look at developmental and cross-training initiatives to sort of continue our hiring and, I should say, promotion internally. This past year, we did have 3 internal candidates promoted, and 2 of those were promoted into management positions. At the beginning of last year, there was a great deal of interest in commuter rail. We did conduct an internal strategic assessment of that topic. We have presented that to the board. Your direction to me was that that was all kind of well and good, but as far as inter-county issues, we would let the NDOT handle that. We were going to continue to focus our energies and our efforts on those matters, again, related to our statutory obligation to provide public transit, and we did that. Today, we updated our procurement policy. I think some of the changes in there, by the way, actually put more restrictions on me with respect to being able to sign contract amendments. We're going to be more transparent about that process, bringing those forward for the commission. I've probably been checking my phone with respect to Virginia Street more than I should, so is Amy. We are expecting our finding of no significant impact at any minute. With that, earlier today, you took an action with respect to SNC, the construction company. We're positioning ourselves the moment we get that FONSI to begin the utility relocations regarding that project. We continue to pursue a capital investment grant in Washington. As many of you I know have been apprised over the year and advised by our lobbyists, that's going to take a major lift. It can be done. It's a $40 million addition to that project's budget that we need. We think we're going to get the money. It's just going to take a heavy lift through our congressional delegation, through our lobbying team, and through staff. One area that I was not able to complete this year was a new street and highway policy. I think we saw some of the challenges today with the POP and the interlocal cooperative agreement. We need to just really synchronize that effort with respect to timing. My goal is to get out to the entities earlier with the program of projects, get the feedback. Statutorily, this commission is required to select the projects, but we certainly want to make sure we hear clearly and loudly from our member entities. I know Commissioner McKenzie's left, but I know he was very big on getting the Virginia Street widening on the RTP and into the CIP so we can get developers. We were able to do that today, but we're going to have to just kind of maybe in July and August bring back how we're going to do that. You know, it's kind of like operating on the patient while they're still alive. We want to keep the POP and the interlocal cooperative agreement going. We want to push the preservation program. That's a lot of money this year. We want to get that out the door. So I'll be bringing that back. With respect to community partnership goals and objectives, I believe yesterday we got the joint work program with TMRPA approved. We approved that at the commission last month. So we continue to share our resources and work cooperatively with TMRPA. Commissioner Jordan, I know the next one, the Northern Nevada Traffic Safety Coalition, has been a big issue for you. Vision Zero Coalition is formed. That's up and running. Very pleased with the cooperation between RTC, the member entities. But I also want to do a shout out to someone I've known for a long time in Southern Nevada, and that's Erin Breen, who's been coming up here, and she drives up here. She drives from Las Vegas to Reno to come help us out with that. So I'm expecting more things with that, and I don't think we mentioned it. We were successful in our Office of Traffic Safety grant to continue to move. It's a $45,000 grant we've received to continue moving forward with our public education efforts on traffic safety. One of the things the commission wanted us to do was be more in tune with the joint development program of FTA, as well as participating in and looking at the affordable housing question and how public transit can play a bigger role or be a more effective partner in that. We will be hopefully retaining a consultant next month to start on that effort and continue with that. With respect to the board-assigned goals, those are, actually, I don't have those in front of me. Somehow that didn't get printed, so they're not in my packet. Oh, thank you. Okay, that helps. So we've continued our quarterly updates with each of the entities, and we'll be going, actually, I believe we're due, Commissioner Jordan, at you guys at the City of Reno here coming up next month. We are, with respect, it was asked of the commission last year to look at a back-end connection from I-80 to Spanish Springs. We put forward a Central Federal Lands application. That didn't go anywhere, but I think that was in part because NDOT's going to do that work as part of their I-80 corridor study. Of course, that means we'll be shoulder to shoulder with them in doing that. We did have a facilitated discussion with the county manager, city managers regarding road maintenance projects. We will continue to use our fuel tax with respect to road maintenance in the current fiscal year, and we'll continue to work with our member entities to see how we can better coordinate and leverage and cooperate in doing that. I think the Lemon Drive extension up to Chickadee is a good example of how we're at least cooperating on a technical level. We've been a partner on the lands bill. That lands bill map includes our park and ride facilities that we would like to have included, as well as some road corridors. And we've been, I know, we've been working closely with our federal team, the county's federal team, the county staff, and RTC staff to push that forward. We are looking at increased transportation to outlying areas. I think the Taxi Bucks program today is a good first start with respect to making that county-wide. So folks in Incline Village, Gerlach, wherever you are in those outlying areas will now be available to, that'll be available to them. So we were asked to look at a rail connection. We did that, and I noted that earlier, and I think NDOT's also going to take a deeper dive into that with respect to inter-county transportation. We have begun a new, fresh regional pedestrian safety outreach program. Again, our Office of Traffic Safety grant that we received, the $45,000, will help us do that, and we'll move that forward. We also have some things in the budget that were adopted last week to help with that as well. Procure a double-deck open-topped bus for Virginia Street. We are looking at the vehicle options for Virginia Street. I will point out when we completed the Villanova improvements, we do have an ability now to store and maintain those buses. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. I do plan on bringing an item next month. It's the goals and objectives for next month, or for me for next year. So those will reflect maybe some of the things today that didn't quite get as far along as I would have liked, like the street and highway policy. One area I did not mention, I do want to talk about, is the Business Improvement District. I still stand, I'm very pleased with the progress we've made on that. We're a partner in that. We're going to be a member in that. We're not just going to do our dues, but we're going to also coordinate and participate with that group. I still believe the area around 4th Street Station. So let me maybe put it in these terms. We have, I think it's about a $55 million investment in the 4th Prater corridor. We have an $80+ million investment we're going to be making in Virginia Street, and finally connect Midtown, downtown, and the university. We're going to be using 4th Street Station as a central hub for folks to connect to those new services. We've got to get that area safe, clean, revitalized. I know in talking with the consultant, I've made the point, you know, we like to talk about the homeless question, and clearly we're going to be a partner in that, but let's not forget business improvement districts, at least in my experience over time, are also strong partners in capital improvements. It's the capital improvements that we can make in that area, I think, that can improve walkability, safety, the appearance of the area, and the attractiveness of the area, and that really is the long-term goal we want to have with the BID and leverage those investments we've been making in 4th Prater and Virginia Street. So with that, I will open it up for discussion, or turn it back to Angela for any points you want to make.
Turn it back to the commission.
Okay,
for
questions or
discussion.
comments? Who wants to start this thing off? I can start off. I want to thank you for sending out the evaluation forms. It doesn't help any when I fill them out and then leave them on my desk at home when I get here, so I'll try to remember. You know, Lee, how long you been with the RTC now?
September 28th, it'll be 9 years.
Year and a half, yeah, 9 years.
Year and a half and 9 months.
And so, talking about your leadership skills, I think you offer the RTC and the board and actually the area with your leadership skills. I think you've been doing a great job on that. I think you communicate well. You are open to questions from any member of the board and from the entities, and we appreciate your quarterly reporting to the City of Sparks, because that's one I can answer to. Your communication skills, you can tell you can talk forever. I mean, it's kind of drives us crazy sometimes, but if you want to ask Lee and inform.
Is that a plus?
When we need to get an answer, he can give you an informed answer, and it's appreciated. That's no matter if we're here or in Washington, D.C. doing a TV show or whatever it happens to be. He definitely knows what the RTC is up to. I just would like to see, for goals, maybe just to continue with talking to Rudy and whoever it takes to get the spaghetti bowl and keep it going. Otherwise, I appreciate the job you do, really do.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Mr. Lucy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have to concur. RTC is it's a difficult group and organization to run. Many of our constituents and residents, whether it be mass transit, whether it be roads, however we conduct our business, it's a messy business. It's very dynamic as an organization. It moves. There's so many moving parts to it. That make it very challenging to be a leader within this set. Director Gibson has done, in my opinion, a phenomenal job of being a leader, because it does change dynamically day to day, and he tries to appease most individuals, and everybody expects that as the executive director, that he's the technical expert, that he will solve every problem that comes to us. And I realize Mr. Gibson is very smart and very intelligent and very astute in his understanding of transportation, but still, there's not one individual in this room, or I would venture to say in this county, or in this country, that has an answer to every problem. And this is messy business. This is a difficult business. We expect you to bring us your challenges. We expect you to bring us your ways of dealing with things. But I think as a leader, Director Gibson has done a phenomenal job of really managing this organization, this board, and the requests and challenges that this community offer on a continual basis. He communicates with me on a frequent basis. We discuss issues. And from my commitment in regards to this board and what I do stay connected to our delegation in DC and serve as a member of the National Steering Committee for Transportation for the National Association of Counties. And when I have discussions with him about national policy, Mr. Gibson is very astute to those challenges and has a very sound understanding of what's going on nationwide and how it impacts Northern Nevada and our region, and how that funding and decisions made in DC can impact a secondary and tertiary to what's going on here in Washoe County. So I think that commitment and collaboration, he doesn't just focus his primary focus is obviously Washoe County and has always been, but he is very astute and very understanding of what's going on throughout the state, and communicates quite frequently with our partners down south, and then obviously our state partners in Carson City, obviously Mr. Malfabon, and is constantly in those communications, but also in communication with all of our partners at the DOT and Federal Highway Administration as well, the FHA. He's in challenge with that. And so what I would challenge Mr. Gibson going forward for future goals is I would look that Mr. Gibson continue to advocate as much as we can, because obviously we are going to see challenges here in our county. We're already seeing, as we saw earlier in the presentation by Amy in regards to our increase in traffic, and you feel it, see it, Commissioner Hartung brought that up this morning. Just challenges, everyday challenges, and it's part of a growing community and a growing county. You know, both of our cities are impacted daily with transportation, and I think it's one of the leading factors in regards to how we grow as a community and how we grow as a region. It's one of the most frustrating things that individuals have to deal with, whether it's mass transit, whether it's bus service, whether it's roads and access. It doesn't matter. Transportation is the key to all development going forward. And I think that I would continue to have Director Gibson focus on what we can do for whether it's you know, major arterials, whether it's collectors that are, you know, work within our cities, pavement restoration, how we continue to do our MPO process and continue to work. I think that, and I'll continue to say this, I believe RTC should be at the forefront of every master plan that goes on in this community. They really is the lifeblood of how we do planning within our region, and I would push Director Gibson to continue to fight for RTC being the lead organization of those MPOs as we move forward. And also make sure that we're constantly looking to the federal government when regards to major projects, because this community is going to need major projects to continue to be as connected. We see challenges in the North Valleys with the growing population in North Valleys. We see challenges in Sparks with Pyramid and Calle de la Plata, but we also see challenges down on Mount Rose Highway as it relates to just regional traffic. And tourism is still a major subset. And so with people coming into the area, when we see 5.1 million travelers annually to our region and that number growing, we need to have roads and transportation that is going to be adequate to carry those individuals around, in addition to our already established residents. So that would be my comments and my suggestions for the director. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Wow.
Is that good?
Good.
Did I cover everything for you?
Ms. Jordan.
Thank you very much. I concur with a lot of the comments. I don't need to kind of go on and on. Lee and I speak with regularity. I think we have a ticker on his phone at about 7:30 every morning. I call him and we debrief on a number of things. And when I don't call for a few days, he calls me and wonders what's up, because that's kind of our time to kind of catch up. And I would agree too, Lee does a really good job of balancing a lot of things. You know, politics is a part of every day of everything that we do. And Lee is very astute at handling those things and kind of identifying whose ear we need to get in and why. And I think that's strategic, because without the federal dollars, without the state dollars, none of the things that we want to do here in Washoe County get accomplished. And he knows how the process works, and I think that's critical. I appreciate the quarterly updates at the City of Reno. You come with your facts and your data. You do it in a concise and professional manner. And in the face of some throwing rocks, you maintain your professionalism and deliver information, and appreciate that. I know we asked that of you, and you do that. And Amy comes often and gives those updates, and we value that very much. I do think for future goals, I mean, there's so many things. I know you were hoping you could say the Fonzie. Your score might change today if you got it.
I know.
Check your phone quick.
It's not done
No,
yet.
not-
It's early in the day.
It's timing. Maybe if it was later in the agenda, we could have done it. But no, there's some big things. I mean, the fact that the Southeast Connector is going to open in a month, basically less than a month from now, is significant. A 50-year project in the works that is going to come to fruition and really help the region. It's that kind of global 30,000-foot, 30-year out vision that is not the sexiest thing. Roads aren't sexy. They're kind of like sewer. They're functional, necessary, and when you don't have them, boy, do you notice it, but they're not something that's really glamorous, and they don't get a lot of attention, and they're a pain when they're being constructed. And you work within those confines, and you do level best, and I appreciate all that. For future goals, I think for me, the affordable housing component is a big one, not only for our region, but for the ridership of RTC, the land trust, and expanding that and seeing how we can partner in that venue, I think is critical. The Vision Zero stuff, big, with pedestrian incidents and accidents continuing to be on the rise nationwide. That has to be our, critical number one priority, is to get those numbers down. And of course, the improvement to the bus stops, I think we committed $1 million, if I'm not mistaken, to, giving some folks bus stops that are adequate and they're not standing in the dirt in the sun while they're waiting for the bus. I mean, they got to have somewhere to sit. And I appreciate you making that a priority. And of course, the double-decker bus. I'm going to say this, that we're going to do a lot of improvements to Virginia Street. It is going to be a street like no other and is so special to our region. And to me, the double-decker bus launches that entire vision of Virginia Street as an event and an experience. And the double-decker bus isn't just something that's kind of fun and funky. It, to me, ties everything. So when that project is done, it becomes a huge component of it that tourists and locals alike would really enjoy. So I appreciate everything you do, and I know we bust your chops a little bit from time to time, but you sit in a tough seat for sure. So I appreciate you.
Mr. Hartung.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everybody's said so many things that there's really not much left for me to say. I can't speak much to July 2017 to December, other than the McCarran and Pyramid intersection, which I was very grateful for. But, Mr. Gibson, one of the things that I've noticed in your administration over the time that I've been associated with the County Commission is, and this is a relative term, nimble. I think you've been able to do things quicker and more expeditiously than has been seen in the past, and I really appreciate that. I think you've done a good job managing it, but I will also say you've got a phenomenal staff. That's the foundation, and managing the staff is certainly a forte. But I'll tell you, I'm always impressed with all of RTC staff, every single one of you guys, from the PIO to the engineering to the upper level management. You guys do a phenomenal job, and you make him look good, and that's the key to a good staff. You're always making the organization and of course your superiors look good, and you make us look good, which is a huge part of it. I really appreciate how you've been able to look very carefully at the current needs and move things around. Again, back to nimble. I won't go into all the projects, but in terms of future goals, I'll dovetail on what Commissioner Lucy said. I appreciate that we have Calle de la Plata and Pyramid on the radar, and it hopefully will get started here very soon. But what I would like to do is I'd like to really look at how we can use RIF fees and look at some of these intersections that really do need signalization. Mount Rose Highway in Callahan is a perfect example where it's a very dangerous intersection, and I think there are a number of those all around the region that really should be looked at very carefully, and I think those RIF fees, using them ahead of time, we know that it's a matter of time before we get paid back, but I think that's a good way, and I've been pleased that you've stepped up and recognized that in some crucial areas. Overall, I think it would be very hard to replace you, because you are, and no, it's not that nobody's, anybody can be replaced, but you have a deep knowledge of the organization, and you have a deep knowledge of the interaction of the organization from DC to here to Southern Nevada, and those relationships really, it matters. It does help. So I appreciate everything that you do.
I can't resist doing this to you.
Go
but
right ahead.
I have a deep voice, too.
That's your FM voice.
So just to dovetail, he kind of stole what I want to say about leadership. A good leader does surround himself with good people, and you look around the room, they're here. These are the drivers of the RTC and what we do, and it provides the transparency that we've been trying to strive for, or striving for the last several years. And I think you can tell in the offsite meetings they have. 50, how much is it a year? It's 120 special meetings. So, you know, this year has been a watershed year for the RTC. The Southeast Connector is done. It will have a grand opening. Please be there on July 6th at 11 o'clock. On June 30th, if I'm right, Michael, they're having it's going to open for people who want to ride their bikes, walk the bridge. No traffic, though? No traffic. So that's on June 30th. Pyramid McCarran is done. The electric buses are here. The RTC and NDOT work extremely well together. Fourth Prater is almost done. I know that'll help a lot of people in their sleep at night. Virginia Street is about to hit a major milestone, maybe today. Anything on your phone yet? And when I look at the fact Lee has been with us for 9 years, I don't know how he's made it this long, but we do appreciate Lee. And now it's time to get to the, he's eligible for a raise and a bonus. What's the pleasure?
I think he has to give up money.
Give it back?
All these nice things about him, he needs to give
It can't all be true. Angela, what was the average raise for our employees this year?
We have it for last year.
Okay,
Looking on my
it's about 2.8.
I think it was it just under 4%, I think?
Oh, here's the money woman, she'd know.
3.92.
Stephanie Haddock, Director of Finance. Our pay for performance pool is 3.6%, but we have up to 4% in the budget for.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, I have a question for finance staff before you guys leave. Do we give our executive director and our managers, do you guys get COLAs?
No,
Okay.
everything's pay for performance.
Okay, it's all performance-based.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And Ron, I
Angela?
found the number.
Okay.
Last year, it was an average of 3.92%.
Well, he's not worth that much money. We need to restart here. Any suggestions, Ms. Jordan?
Thank you very much. There was thing, I'm going to back up for just a second. There was another goal in there, and when we're talking about pay for performance and the value of our employees, one of the goals, which I know you're already working on, is kind of a creative way with the bus drivers in the future contract. Because that, I mean, we know turnover is very, very expensive, and getting good employees to stay takes creativity, and you have to pay them. And you have to pay them decent, particularly in a tight labor market. We have to make sure that we're doing that and being creative to maintain our good drivers and to attract new ones. So that is a goal that I forgot to mention earlier.
And not to interrupt, but Mr. Chair, I'm going to talk in depth about that under my director's report because you're going to be getting an item next month on some things we've been doing here in the last month or so with respect to that.
Okay. But I mean, I'm open to some discussion. I think a 3.5% increase is appropriate. I think we gave 3 last year. There was a bit of a zing for the fraud issue that occurred. And to me, 3.5 recognizes a good, smooth year and the job that he's done. But I'm open to other comments as well.
You know, Mr. Chair, what I would do is I would propose that, and I agree with Commissioner Jordan. I think that, we only gave 3% last year, but what I would do is I would suggest that we offer, a 3% raise this year. And it's what we've done with Washoe County, as Commissioner Hartung has pointed out. We gave a 3% raise, but I would also include a one-time 5% bonus that's allowed by his contract. If that would be recommended by the board, there is that availability. Is that correct, Ms. Wright?
Correct.
Okay. So I would do a 3% bonus, annual bonus for him, and then a one-time 5% bonus is allowed.
Was yours a motion, Ms. Jordan?
Mine was a motion. What does that mean? So it would be a 3% increase. What amount is that bonus?
I'm going to read that off.
The possible bonus would be a 5% bonus, which would be would be a one-time payment of $11,186.
When was
It's a performance bonus.
Have we given a bonus in the past?
We have, yeah.
She said no.
Oh, we have not? Oh, this
bonus,
is.
I know we changed his contract a little bit last year for extra time off.
And we did
Yeah.
remove stuff, we did take stuff away, because we took away his, he had the health insurance, life insurance.
We
that
had the life insurance.
That we did remove from his contract.
Yeah, I'm a little uneasy about the bonus part. I think a 3.5% increase and not the bonus, only because, well, I just have some reservations about
So
that.
why don't we do this then? Why don't we make a motion for, if you want to give them a raise, and then we pass that or not pass it, then we'll move on to the bonus.
Okay, so we don't take.
Well, but one is kind of contingent on the other.
Contingent on the other, yeah. So because, if I may, Mr. Chair, and I'll point out the obvious, I'll be Captain Obvious this morning. Commissioner Lucy recommended 3% with a 5% bonus, and Commissioner Jordan recommended a 3.5% increase with no bonus, and
She didn't mention the bonus.
She didn't mention, with no bonus, that's what I said.
No, she didn't mention not giving a bonus.
Oh.
She just said the 3.5% raise. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, but that's kind of contingent, that whether we put a bonus in or not, kind of might change my mind a little bit on that.
Okay, so do you want to withdraw your motions in your second and start all over again? What are you going to do here?
I'd like to do a little cipher.
I don't think we have a motion yet. I view it as just discussion among the
Okay.
board, and I don't think anybody's made a motion yet.
I'll throw out a motion. I think, I actually think the benefits of 3.5, because it is compounding, could have longer-term benefits to Mr. Gibson. And I feel like we're talking about him and he's right here. Feels a little weird.
Be Captain Obvious.
Seems a little weird. Because we haven't done the bonus in the past, I'm uncomfortable with that. I still stick with 3.5%. So that would be my motion, and we'll see where it goes.
If we did 3.5%, that's about an $7,800 a year raise versus,
So we're okay taking them separately, right? I mean, we're,
Your motion is a 3.5% salary increase and no bonus.
Correct. That is my
okay,
motion.
please say that in your motion, then
Okay.
no bonus.
My motion is a 3.5% pay increase and no bonus.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Hartung?
So, just quick math, and I don't know whether I'm doing it correctly, but just quick math, 3.5% is about shy of $8,000 a year. 3% is $6,700 a year, so it doesn't come out. But my sense is that it's probably appropriate right now to just stick with the 3.5%. I'm not suggesting he hasn't done a good job, but there's still some dissension out there. I still get comments about some of the issues, and so I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Chairman Smith, the bonus wouldn't go into PERS, or would it? It would not. Okay, so I stick with the 3.5, because 1, it compounds, 2, it goes into PERS, and the bonus does not. Yeah, further confirms my motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is that a no?
That's a no for me.
Yeah, it's a no for me too. So it's 2-2 that
Motion
fails.
Motion fails.
That motion fails.
Okay,
Motion
so
fails.
we're looking for another motion here. Anybody else want to throw it out?
Do you want me to do it?
No, Chairman, if I may, and I understand where Commissioner Jordan is coming from. I appreciate her position in regards to, the continuing compounding for, and the ongoing benefit. I see it as that I don't want to hamstring us for future years in regards to a higher amount that we're going to have to compound on. And we have continuously given Mr. Gibson a raise every year of some sort. And if the higher we push that up, the more money we're going to spend year after year. Whereas I would be more inclined to do a lower annual percentage raise, even maybe to the tune of 2.5% of an annual raise, and give him some sort of a performance bonus that's a one-time performance bonus that's more substantial for him in regards to the successes of the year, and really look at the successes of the year. And maybe 5% is obviously too much for this board to look at, maybe something more in the tune of 3 to 4%. It's a one-time bonus that doesn't get integrated into PERS and is just, you know,
2.5 and
for a
3.
good job.
Yeah, I could
live-
get on
I
board
live
with that.
2.5 and 3.
Okay. So I would make a bonus for, I would make a motion and suggest that we pay Director Gibson a 2.5% annual bonus.
Increase.
Thank you, Commissioner Harton. A 2.5% annual increase of his annual salary and a one-time performance bonus of 3%.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Gibson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the commission.
Okay. So we'll move on. I think we're at 5.1, which is the RTC Executive Director Report. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the comments during my review, the Executive Director report is concluded. No, just, so let me just mention quickly, I'm sorry. I will not say that. I'll say, let me mention, all RTC transit services are going to be free on Thursday, June 21st for the 13th annual Dump the Pump Day in collaboration with our industry organization, the American Public Transportation Association. Our free transit days provide an opportunity for discretionary riders to try transit, and we increase ridership on our system. Additionally, as part of the RTC Smart Trips program, we're encouraging the public to take alternative modes of transportation as well as win prizes and register their trips taken starting on June 21st through August 3rd. Folks can go to the RTC.com website and go to RTC Trip Match to register your trips for those free prizes. As Chairman Smith pointed out, save these dates, and I'm dead serious on this. June 30th, we're going to host a community run, walk, bike event from 8 a.m. to noon, giving the community an advanced preview of the completed Southeast Connector. This is a real opportunity to go out there and just look at what's been built.
May I ask a question on that?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Will we have some line bikes out there?
We're going to have anything and everything out there. Line bikes, we're going to have a fun run.
Lynn Bickey.
Michael Moreno, Public Affairs Manager. Yes, we will
Okay.
have Lime Bike represented out there, as well as some vendors at both ends of the project that will also join us that day, so
So we can jump on a line bike and ride the
you
road?
can.
Awesome, thank you.
First come, first served, because we're only going to have about 50 bikes. No taco truck.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Next, I'd like to point out, and I'll just be real blunt about this, Amy and I have been checking our emails over and over. We were expecting the FONSI. We were told we might receive it in an email. I was actually told by Ed Carranza, the regional administrator for FTA, that Amy would hear first, so we're checking. I also want to point out MV Transportation, our contractor for fixed route services, will recognize their 2018 Transit Operator of the Year at a presentation at 4th Street Station this coming Tuesday, June 19th at 10 a.m. This year's recipient of the Catherine McClary Operator of the Year Award will be presented to one of our own transit operators. This individual was chosen from approximately 15,000 MV operators across North America. I don't want to disclose, I don't want to pull away the surprise of who that is, but this is really a big deal for this corporation. So if you'd like to attend the presentation, let either me or Michael know, and we'll see you down there on June 19th. Kind of an interesting event we have planned on July 13th. We will host an event for the rededication of the Jerry L. Hall Villanova Transit Operations and Maintenance Facility, which we remodeled last year, in part, hopefully one day, to accommodate a double-deck bus. The event will honor the vision and contributions of RTC's first executive director, Jerry Hall, and will include participation of former RTC executive directors as well. I should point out, I'm going to pick on Amy for a moment, if I may, but she wrote a document that was the history of transit in Reno for some little requirement up at UNR at one point in her career. And Jerry is an interesting individual to get to know and to talk to. Many of you may know him. I met him in 1989, so he is someone certainly worth recognizing. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for Jerry. Also want to point out, RTC will provide the community free transit shuttle service between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. This is for the, actually, ixnay that. We're working on how we're going to potentially move people to the June 30th event for that, and we'll get some information out. Now, on a more serious note, I do want to talk about, where'd it go? I want to talk about what's been going on with respect to the transit system. We've been meeting with members of the transit industry, companies that are interested in operating our service. These include companies like National Express, Transdev, this one's a difficult one, RATP Dev, which that's an acronym for the Regional Authority of Transit for Paris. They bought a North American company called McDonald Transit several years ago. We have met with First Transit. We've also met with Keolis, and I think there may be one more. The idea of these meetings is we've been asking these companies to come in and talk to us about issues related to the labor market, wages, and how they believe and how other communities are engaging with and dealing with the issues that we are dealing with here as we craft our RFP. What we're hearing is challenging news. We're looking at, we're seeing from these folks, driver and mechanic wages are increasing in the order of 25 to 30% in other mid-size and major metropolitan areas across the country. Las Vegas is not immune to this. We're also learning that investments in technology, ranging from electric buses to autonomy, also brings higher wages and higher demands and skill sets for our workforce. Mr. Jickling had a very good comment during these meetings. We tend to hire mechanics and train operators. Maybe the model needs to be changed. Maybe we need to start training mechanics and training operators. And I think one of the discussions, perhaps, or a goal for next year, when I bring that item back next year, is maybe it's time to bring our partners in the university sector and TMCC that we've worked so well with to the table to start talking about how we can train those individuals. My vision of the operator of a transit vehicle in 10 years is it's not an operator, it's going to be an IT specialist because of the autonomy equipment, a customer service individual who can deal with customer issues and complaints, and security. I mean, I think we always need to remember that the bus operator is the first line of defense and security for passengers using our transit system, and that's a very, very important community role we shouldn't forget. Next year, we're going to have our hands full dealing with this procurement question, dealing with the issues of what it is we want our contractor to provide. Some of the things you'll hear include long-term stability of the contract, and we're going to have to take a hard look internally at some of our finance and funding mechanisms that we use and ask some hard questions of how we utilize the sales tax, and really what will the role of microtransit be. And so we're going to have some tough issues to deal with for us to sustain our public transit system in the future. So with that, that concludes my director's report.
Okay, questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the federal report.
So, Mr. Chairman, we've been watching Congress closely. The House Appropriations Committee marked up and voted for a fiscal year 2019 transportation bill. The bill's got the, okay, so I'll take my advice from my evaluation. Our federal bills have the money for Virginia Street in them. We know it's there. We know it was included. The issue we got to get to is making sure we get Kay Jane Williams, the Deputy FTA Administrator, and hopefully Thelma Drake, who will be the Administrator, to just go ahead and release that grant. That's the challenge. That's what the federal team is working on. That's what we've got to do. So I'll keep that short and sweet. And perhaps if there's anything in here you want to read, we certainly can cooperate. The only thing I might add, and maybe this is a transition over to you, Rudy, is we still have the question of funding the Spaghetti Bowl. And I think we're going to need to really walk through that very carefully, look at the role of NDOT, RTC, build grants, those types of things, and make sure we, again, work very, very in a focused manner with our delegation to deliver the type of funding. Those types of projects on the interstate system, the magnitude, design concept, those are really the kinds of things that do warrant, in my opinion, going to Washington and making sure we get a discretionary grant. So with that, that concludes my federal report, and we can move to
Okay,
Rudy.
questions or comments? Okay, and Rudy, I want to thank you for being so patient at every one of our meetings until we finally get to your report, so.
No problem, Mr. Chairman.
NDOT report. Rudy.
I just wanted to echo the board's comments about working with Lee. It's really a great partnership between NDOT and the RTC of Washoe County, and we enjoy working with the staff. As Lee had mentioned in the federal update, we're very pleased that the appropriators from the House and the Senate are very close, and there's just some numbers to refine and get a common agreement on, but it's looking good for getting an appropriations bill passed for USDOT prior to the expiration of the current federal fiscal year, which doesn't happen that often. We also, I wanted to express my appreciation. You rarely see something like the RTP amendment that just occurred today for the Spaghetti Bowl project so rapidly. I mean, our Transportation Board just approved us going forward with it last month. We have a request for qualifications out to the design build teams, which is due, qualifications are due July 16th. But to have that amended so quickly, it's just unprecedented in my opinion. I've never seen that before. So I really appreciate that. We want to get this project underway as soon as possible. And we do have bonding capacity for that, for this project. So hopefully we get the support from the legislature and our recommended, once it gets through the process of the governor's finance office, gets into the governor's recommended budget request for all the state agencies, and NDOT's budget will hopefully be approved by the legislature about this time next year. We'll know for sure. But I don't see any drawbacks to this. It's an important project to the region, and it needs to go forward. NDOT presented to the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority Board of Trustees yesterday on the Reno Spaghetti Bowl project. We're working on a solution with their consultant and the Reno Airport staff on some ramps that would work for the airport access and meet the NDOT goals as well for the project. But we're making commitments to the airport that we're not going to affect their access until we have something that we mutually agree will meet both of our needs. We definitely wanted to apologize for any traffic impacts near the Spaghetti Bowl that was mentioned earlier in public comment. We have some ramp closures associated with some striping. My staff told me just this morning that the ramp closures are supposed to be after midnight at Audi. So after the rodeo event is done tonight. But they're restriping the stop bars as part of an intelligent transportation system improvements that we've been putting on 395 in the north of Spaghetti Bowl along Audi, McCarran, and Lemon Valley interchanges. But I believe that if they're doing it that late, it shouldn't impact some of the traffic. There also could be delays from that pavement rehabilitation project on the concrete pavement on 395 North. Hopefully that's not causing too much traffic woes in the valley because it's night work. I'm going to be reviewing Mount Rose after this meeting with the district engineer, Thor Dyson. I know that we've heard about Callahan and Mount Rose intersection. Also want to look at Edmonton, where some developments are occurring or planned. I did have staff, after that crash with the fatalities that occurred recently, look at traffic signal warrant analysis. They did conduct that analysis and said that no traffic signal warrants were met. That's not the only criteria, as you may be aware. We looked at engineering judgment as an option as well for traffic signals, but I want to kind of get better informed and look at some of the crash statistics at those intersections and see what's appropriate. As far as the comments about South Virginia by Longley and Patriot, I think NDOT maintains South Virginia south of Patriot. Longley's kind of a little bit north of there, but we'll definitely get staff to contact Commissioner Lucy's office to get some certainty about what's needed there and follow up appropriately. And so I think that's pretty much keep it short and sweet for the NDOT Director's report, and if there's any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions or comments? Mr. Hartung?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Malfabon, and I appreciate everything that NDOT is doing. I know that there's a lot of requests and a lot of need on a very tight budget. One thing I would implore us to look at while we're doing Calle de la Plata and Pyramid, I believe I can get all, if not most of all, of the materials that would require an acceleration lane going from the Hall Road to West Calle de la Plata. And while we've got crews out there that are going to be dealing with that, it would be really nice to be able to get that acceleration lane, because we've got fully laden trucks coming off that Hall Road and into a triples many times into a 65 mile an hour speedway. And so, and people are rolling a lot faster than 65. They're rolling 70, 75 coming down through that far north end of the valley. They're past Pebble Creek. And so it would just be nice to have that third lane, and it's long overdue, and I believe Martin Marietta will participate in a fairly substantial way. So I'm hoping that we can at least have those conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We are following up on that. We might have two separate agreements, one for the materials, but separate from one that actually constructs or looks at the improvements. But we will be in discussions with that supplier.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Mr. Lucy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Director Malfabon for, his attention to the Mount Rose corridor. Yeah, it has been constant, it has been a constant issue for a lot of my residents out there, and also for the county, and the county commissioners have been getting quite a bit of discussion in regards to it being kind of impacted not only by new development, but tourist travel, and also the new schools that are slated to be that are currently under construction, those that are already in operation, and those that are on track to be built out there. So I do appreciate you setting aside a time. I would ask that as we move forward, if we can conduct some more public meetings with NDOT, to maybe address, or I think one of the biggest things is the lack of information out there for a lot of those citizens. I know that your staff is working on some safety studies over the summer that are going to be impacting some outcomes, and hopefully we get the results by the end of late summer, early fall. But hopefully we can schedule some stuff with your office going forward that'll discuss, disseminate that information a little bit better to those individuals out there. So if we could schedule those, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Malvavon. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 8.2, which are legal issues. 6.1, okay, I missed that. I don't know how I can miss it with all that.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Okay, we'll hold off on that. We'll do- 6.1, acknowledge receipt of the 4th Street Parade Away monthly progress report. Yeah, almost skipped right over you there.
Did all right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, before Warren starts, you each have a letter. Commissioner McKenzie raised some questions about the calendar days and the schedule of the project. We sat down, went through the contract, and I just put this I sent this to Paul because he requested it. I provided it here today for all of y'all to see, just as a matter of disclosure. Hopefully this helps clarify kind of how y'all think about days and the way the project's running. So with that, Warren, go ahead.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Warren Call with the RTC Project Manager for the 4th and Prater BRT project, here to give you a construction status update. With that said, we'll start with the slides. Oh, I'll do that. Let's see. Okay, project status. The schedule, we're on 331 working days out of 378, which is about 87% of the working days as of 5/21/18. To further expand on that, our most recent schedule, previous schedules have indicated a completion date of the end of August. Our most recent schedule submitted now has that completion date at the end of September. And we continue to work with the contractor to try to pull that date back as best we can, and continue to work with him on that. In terms of the budget, of a $42.3 million budget, We've spent about $30 million to date on the construction activities. Construction activities over the past month, utility work. The storm drain work is substantially complete. The Tumwa water main work is substantially complete. Up in Reno, the dry utility work. Final utility company tie-overs in Reno have been done the past month. Street lighting conduit foundations at Sutro to Wells Avenue have been put in, as well as the new traffic signals. Sparks dry utility work is substantially complete down over in Sparks. Continuing with the past construction activity of the month, civil improvements, El Rancho intersection paving, we have completed that. Placement of curb and gutter and sidewalk in Reno from Sutro Street to Wells Avenue on the north sides has been complete. The BRT stops, steel structure stations at Sutro Street Station eastbound has been put in. Foundations at Sutro Street westbound and El Rancho Drive eastbound foundations have also been put in. In our outreach program, it's an ongoing process of and upcoming paving operations in Reno to inform the businesses as well as the residents of the upcoming activity. We do have a business outreach walk, pedestrian access walk. We do that weekly, and continued coordination with our partners at NDOT Sparks in the city of Reno. The planned construction activities over the next month, which is into July. The Reno work will be the placement of curb, gutter, and sidewalk and streetlights along the north side of the road to Evans Avenue. Remaining items of dry utility tie-over work on the north side of the road, AT&T charter items near Evans Avenue. And then Reno paving starting mid-June. And after the I-80 closure, which Brian had mentioned earlier, that intersection of the freeway will be opened up this Saturday, and that will be on schedule as well. The Sparks work, complete the paving below I-80, as I just mentioned, will be done by Saturday. BRT work at 15th Street and El Rancho stations as well. Upcoming traffic control. Reno paving, initially the idea of doing that paving from Galletti to Montello was to have 2 lanes, which is the idea all along until we got to about the 11th hour. And the contractor staked the center line and realized that the lanes were too narrow and it would be too unsafe a situation to have those 2 lanes operating. So after much discussion and frustration on the part of the RTC, we came to the conclusion, and to keep the project moving as well, that we're just going to go with 1 lane in the westbound direction, again from Galletti to Montello. It'll be a 2-phase operation, the south side and the north side, to get those done. And then from Montello to Evans, during that time, we'll be open to 2-way traffic.
Excuse me, Warren?
yes,
What will be the duration of that operation? How long will that be like that?
That would be,
Here comes help.
when was that? You got that, Jim?
Yeah, so Jeff Wilbrecht, RTC Project Manager for Fourth and Freighter. That work's gonna go on, it's in 2 phases, as Warren was saying. The first phase is roughly 3.5 weeks, so that's gonna get us kind of early July. And then the next phase is another 3.5-ish, 3 weeks, and that gets us to kind of the 3rd, 4th week in July.
And we learned about this when?
We started talking about it on Wednesday, and we got it really kind of put together yesterday, and we've been dealing with it pretty much 24 hours a day
All right.
since that started.
A lot of sleepless nights. Having said that, let me continue on. Yes, that's the end of my presentation. Any questions or discussion?
Questions or comments? Okay, looking for a motion to accept the report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thanks, Warren, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may just add one comment. That what Warren described there at the end, that's a big change. And Michael and his troops and all of us will be out there working with the neighborhoods to make sure everyone understands what's going to go on during that, almost 7-week period.
And I
So-
want to commend Michael and his team as well as on such short notice as
Yeah.
getting that word out that this.
Yeah, we're not, staff's not happy about this.
No, we're not at all.
Right. Okay.
But we want to keep the project moving as well and get out of everybody's hair, so we got to do what we can.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Okay, now I think we're on 8.2, legal issues. No issues, okay. All right, I'll open up the public comment period. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for member items. Ms. Jordan.
Thank you very much. And kind of dovetailing on what just said about the Galletti Montello, that is very concerning and kind of last minute stuff that's going to really affect their mobility for, 2 months in essence, month and a half, 2 months. That's a tough one. I think we need to get the message out about utility work on the Midtown area that's going to start, end of July?
End of July, August.
Okay.
Probably August.
Okay, and I know we're waiting for the official final document before we can say we're a go, but those businesses need as much advance notice. They may want to do a sale, a staffing, a whatever, even if the date floats out because something doesn't arrive. We got to let them know, and maybe me talking about it right now, that they're going to be disrupted starting August.
Michael Marino, Public Affairs Manager. Commissioner Darden, thank you for your comments. We are at this time putting together a plan to begin communications with the Midtown businesses and stakeholders down there. We anticipate executing that plan here in the next couple of weeks, just to begin that conversation with the stakeholders to make them aware of the activities that may be occurring as early as August to September timeframe.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Commissioner Jordan, we'll bring an item back next month and detail everything, because it's getting time. We've been waiting for the Fonzie, and I see Amy checking her email, but I think it's time to put Virginia Street back on the monthly, back on the agenda every month and start talking about it, because it's gonna ramp up, and it's gonna ramp up quick.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lucy.
One last thing, Mr. Chair, I'd like to point out that, as everybody is aware, it is now Reno Rodeo season. And obviously, parking down here at the county complex in the Reno Rodeo area is difficult. But at RTC, we do offer bus service, and we do offer, so if you can drive, if you feel that parking is going to be a challenge, and it will be, I promise you that, please find out when our bus schedule is, get on the bus, come down, enjoy the rodeo. It's a wonderful event. It's one of our legacy events here in Washoe County, and we really enjoy it. It does benefit all of our community, and so many people get to come down and participate, and there's so much for people to do. But take the bus. It is a challenge to get down here to and from, and those schedules are available for you. Thank you.
Mr. Hartung.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be brief. I just wanted to congratulate the chairman on being the mayor-elect
Thank you.
of the city of Sparks.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
we look
Believe me,
forward-
I'm humbled by this whole thing.
We look forward to your leadership in Sparks. Not that Gino has not done a phenomenal job, but you have some great ideas, and I'm looking forward to seeing them executed. So again, congratulations, sir.
Thank you. I want to thank the people of Sparks who voted for me and hired me for the next 4 years. It's a big deal for me and my family. So it's been a goal of mine after Gino Martini was done to run for mayor, and he's done, so I did, and it's over. I don't have to go through November, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you. Thanks, Mr. Hartung. Any other comments? Okay, then without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.